Creators, as you know, on this channel, I do a series that I call I Got Questions. And I start every one of these interviews off with the same question, and then I figure the rest out on the fly. Okay? So, this is my buddy Joe. We met at PodFest like 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, and found out that we're both pen freaks. Mm-hmm. So, Aubrey, this one's for you. One of my members, she's also a fountain pen nerd like us.
Awesome.
The first question is, what does being a creator mean to you today?
I think it means, for me, getting to teach and tell stories, having the opportunity to do that in a way that I otherwise wouldn't. I was in drama club when I was a kid, and I love speaking on stage and teaching in the classroom, and being a creator lets me continue to do that even if I'm not on stage or in the classroom.
Wow, that's wild. Well, technically you are in the classroom because your content is about teaching podcasters and other creators like how to get their message out. So you're technically still teaching.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's funny when we're talking about buying things and they say, oh, there's an educational discount. I'm like, kind of we should qualify for that because I think my channel is also an educational channel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, Apple, Apple doesn't check. But we should automatically qualify for educator discount because that's what we're doing, edutainment, right?
That's right. Sadly, I remember the day my University of Scranton email stopped working. It was many years after I no longer needed it, and it
Same here.
Stopped one day, and I'm like, ah.
I'm like, who got hired at University of Hawaii that decided to clean out the rails? Because I was winning for like 10 years after I left school. That's cool. All right, so right now, your current mission, explain that to people so then, you know, if they need your services, they can get to you.
Yeah, so I help busy solopreneur parents save time in their business so they're not checking their email while they're on the playground.
That's such a dope line.
Thank you.
Listen, I don't have any kids, but I do have a niece, which requires me to sometimes sub in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm always like, man, I got to do this, but I have to go pick her from school. And then I don't know how you guys do it, honestly, because the half-an-hour drive, which in Hawaii is not that far. It's really about 4 miles, but it takes a half an hour.
Man.
And then you have to sit in that parents' line. Mm-hmm. I was like, yo, we walked home from school. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, right. I mean, this is, I told my wife recently that I'm a little scared of the amount of the increase in frequency I'm speaking to my phone. But, you know, transcription tools are so much better, and then they can kick off automations and you can send it to AI. And so usually I'll work like right up until I have to go get my kids. And I have all these open threads in the back of my brain, things I didn't finish, things I need to know to do. And on the drive and in the car line, I'm just brain dumping, vomiting onto my phone.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, go organize this into a to-do list, ChatGPT. And it does it. It works like gangbusters.
Yeah. So it's funny because when I'm in the parents' line, I think they probably think I'm on a phone call. But I'm legit talking to ChatGPT or Gemini, and we're planning out what we're doing. Another cool one is I use Super Whisper.
Nice.
And Super Whisper allows me to like write my newsletters. Yeah. So I just say what I'm going to type out. And it's gotten to a point where it can get about 75 to 80% the way I would have actually wrote it. Wow. And so it's really good at taking what you do and adding to it. So you're also very big on email. I get Joe emails all the time in my email box.
Oh, thank you, sir.
What are your advice do you have for people who haven't started their list yet?
Yeah, so this is, I think you want to be really clear on, value proposition sounds like so buzzwordy, but be really clear on who you want to help, right? Email is basically currency now, and if someone's going to join your list, they want to know that they're going to get some value from it. And this was really a struggle for me for a long time. I was in the WordPress space, and then I moved to podcasting, and now I've moved to systems for solopreneur parents. But the one kind of thread throughout all of it, and the reason that I didn't have to start my list over again is I was always very clear about who I was helping when I was changing. And I always shared stories and related it back to something. Just the thing I related it back to changed over time.
All right. Well, since we're in the whole relator thing, how do you relate your content business like a child? Like, because I think if people think about it that way, they might be less scared.
Yeah.
Because you're going to start out, you're not going to have any idea what you're doing. And then through the process of them growing, you grow with it, but then you adjust. The system that somebody else told you does not work on your kid. And I say the same thing about, YouTube content or podcasts. People try to buy these templates, and I'm like, no shade against the template people, but it's probably not going to work exactly for you like it worked for them. You have to be able to adjust. So from a parent, because you have that experience, do you think that someone's content is similar to a kid in that sense?
Absolutely. And, even what worked on one kid is not going to work on another, right? It's all very situational.
Wait, how many you got?
I got 3. Yeah.
good man.
Yeah, thank you.
I got 0 and I like it.
I'm good. I think I'm good at 3. I'm very happy with the ones I have.
You're disappointing the rest of the Italian people,
I know,
by the way.
I'm very sorry.
You're coming up short.
Well, hey, look, I'm carrying the team for me and my brothers.
So there you go. All right, there you go. Tell your brothers to chip in.
I know. But it's buying other people's templates and frameworks is almost like saying I have all of these T-shirts that fit me, and that's great if you're like a men's medium. But I ain't a men's medium.
Yo,
right? Yeah.
I don't know why you look over here. Hey, somebody call somebody else.
Hey, I'm talking about me.
Yeah, definitely not a thing.
Yeah, but so I would say this in college too. Like, you can't teach how to run a business in a classroom, and it's the same thing with your creator. Your YouTube channel, your creator business. You can learn from people's mistakes, and internalize them a little bit, but you're going to be on your own journey, and you're going to be learning on the job. And the same, I read a bunch of books before my kids were born, and then some weird thing happened, and I was like, this wasn't in the book. Like, all of these books were like, what to do when you're expecting and not.
I was just thinking of that book when you said that.
Yeah, right. The Expectant Father was one of the ones I read. You know what the Expectant Father didn't tell me? What to do as a father, because it's just you can't put that into 10 chapters.
Yeah. And like you said, each one of them is different. So, the tricks that you might have tried before doesn't, because I'm an uncle for a lot of nieces and nephews. Yeah. And I like my Emma, the one that I probably spend the most time with, when she was a baby, nobody else could get her to sleep. And I'm the fat one in a house full of Asians. So I would put her on my stomach and just go, and then I realized, like, she responded to music. Yeah. So I would sing, like, stupid songs, and she, So even, like, anytime they were like, put her to sleep. Well, it's not my kid. But, like, you do it so good. But the trick totally didn't work on my nephew, Cade. He is a human caffeine. Like, that kid just constantly runs. He never stops running. Come to find out now, an older kid, he wants to be like a pro soccer player. And so all of that energy out of his kid. But again, 2 totally different vibes. You would never be able to just pick it up. And I think that content, we spend too much time studying. And my partner, Mary Lou, she has a funny statement. She goes, I'm currently in my output mode right now, so I got to get all this stuff done. And then when we go into learning stuff, we call it going into input mode. And it's about the idea of switching back and forth, because it's so real easy to just constantly be input. And you learned all these cool things, especially a week like this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the best people in the planet, we learned all kind of things. But if you don't put that joint into action, it's gone.
I wrote at one point, I think it was during Chris's talk yesterday, informed by Liz's talk earlier that day, I wrote, should I restart a membership? And then, like, right under it, I'm like, do not start another membership. And so I want to take the other stuff I learned and apply it to what I'm doing now. And maybe in a year, when I've built an audience and my value proposition is a lot clearer, then I'll be ready for a membership.
And Tori mentioned today, like, the shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
I am completely guilty of that at all times. And now I've learned better when to say no to something. So in that vein, doubling down or just re-improving what you already have versus trying something else new. Do you have, because you're very good at systems, do you have a system or checklist you run through? Be like, what does Pat say? Should I open it or leave it sealed?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right? So do you have a system for that?
Yeah, the Eisenhower Matrix is obviously like a very common one. I I journal every day. I have a startup and shutdown routine. And and I write the things I need to do down and what I can do with my additional time. And I think about what's the best way for me to grow my business and increase my income. And it's almost like if you make a cake and the icing's not very good, you don't have to throw out that whole cake, right? You can just remake the icing.
Remake the icing, yes.
And so, like, getting a bunch of ideas here and running with them is like saying, oh, this icing isn't very good, so I'm going to make a whole different cake, and you're starting from scratch. I love little iterations, right? Pat said that during his talk, too, yesterday, right? Like, get really good at something small.
Right.
And so that's really, I think about what will move the needle, what do I have the capacity for? And every quarter or so, I think about my bigger goals, but I really try to stick to the plan because otherwise, especially with vibe coding, right? It's like I was in the hotel room and there's this tool that I use very seldomly that I wouldn't want to pay, whatever it is, $20 a month for because I barely use it. But it's such a simple tool that I'm like, I could code this myself. Let's see if I can vibe code it. And like an hour goes by and I'm like, was this the way I should have spent?
No, because that was $20 you could have just spent for 1 month and turned it off.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And it's like an interesting project. Maybe I can turn that into content on a live stream. In my case, right? I've like made my YouTube channel a place where I can tinker. But if I wasn't at the conference, I would have been like, well, I straight up just blew a real hour of billable work, which is way more than $20.
Or kicking it with the kid at the playground.
Yeah, exactly.
Reminding ourselves that we're not as fast as them anymore. All right, so you said something a little bit ago. I want to run that. We're going to close it out with this because I am constantly preaching to the air with my people about why they should journal. And of course, it makes sense because we're both pen nerds, but the pen nerd part comes from journaling.
Right.
Explain to people why they should journal. If they caught nothing else out of this other than we both probably eat too much, why should they journal? Because I just want to hear your side of it. And you know how it is. Like, you can tell your wife something 100 times, but then they don't hear it. And then Katie comes in and be like, hey, you know what? You should do so-and-so. And then be like, yeah. Do you know what Katie said? And you're just going...
Yeah, you're getting the look. Why does Katie have to say? Right?
Yeah. So why should they journal? Tell them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, if you're a creator, you're spending most of your day staring at a screen on a computer. And like typing is one thing, or like, making a little note is one thing. But sitting in front of a piece of paper with a pen, no screens, no distractions, and just writing your thoughts, it's something you're making in the real world, which I think is becoming less and less valuable. But it's also just a way for you to do some unstructured writing. Again, when I journal, if I didn't rush out to the car and I'm word vomiting to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, I just have pages of whatever I'm thinking. And I can go, and it's on the page. I can look at it. It's out of my brain. And it's just like a tactile thing to do in an increasingly digital world.
Right. And for me, it solidifies my thoughts in my brain even tighter.
Yeah.
And I think that one day that my niece Emma or my nephew Cade or, the rest of them, they'll pick up the book and be like, yo, Uncle was a weirdo. Yeah. Yo, my field notes exploded today.
I know.
The cover came off. I showed Joe, look, the cover came off.
I'll tell you what, I installed the beta on my iPad. Yeah. And I was like, I'll use the Notes app today to see. I'll write with my Apple Pencil. I can't remember a single thing.
Not the same.
But you know what? I took a ton of notes yesterday, and they are all already implemented.
There you go.
So,
and you can take pictures of this and bring it into your GPT.
And make it. I mean, gosh, the handwriting recognition on Apple devices is getting.
Hey, the fact that it can read my handwriting, I'm like, all right. Everybody makes fun of Apple AI, but hey, somebody did something. Maybe because they got my handwriting from when I worked there. All right, brother. How can they find you if they need to see you?
You can head over to casabona.org, get on my mailing list where I talk about stuff like this all the time, or my podcast will be over there as well.
There you go. Thank you, man. Listen, we get to hang out all the time. We immediately start talking fountain pens, and everybody else leaves.
Yep. I always, if I know you're gonna be there, I bring a fountain pen.
Bring something cool to share, guys. You know what I say when I do this show. I don't know who needed to hear this, but if it was you, let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and right about now, the algorithm is going to show you another video they think you should watch. And I agree with them. And so does Joe.
That's right.
I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk. Gotta keep quiet, maneuver in silence.